calling the meeting of the Community Preservation Committee to order at 6:38. Thank you for coming. Continued review of 27 applications. We are going to start with Travis. Ellen, do you know, are you handling that or is Doug coming as well?
No, Doug has a work commitment tonight, so I'll be doing it for affordable housing.
Okay, so you and Brad are doing that. So we'll do Travis first because he's on Zoom.
Sounds
So,
good.
Bring him over. Thank you.
Travis, I just sent the request.
We're just waiting for Travis. Perfect.
Thank you, son.
Hey, Travis, are you there?
I am
There
here.
you are. Hey, Travis, how are you? We're gonna do you first.
Oh, you're gonna do me first?
We're gonna do
Okay.
you guys first, so you don't have to wait around. So why don't you start out by, thank you very much first for updating the application. I think it looks great. It makes it so much easier. And Katie was kind enough that all three of the revised applications, including recreation, so the committee knows, are on the town's website. So what we discussed tonight, the public will be able to access. So Katie, thank you for that. And my bubblehead sending you the wrong one didn't help, but she did it. She was very fast at it. So Travis, why don't you go ahead and just kind of tell us, you know, what you've done. I know there's a survey and whatnot. Why don't you just kind of update us where you're at and some of the things that we left with at last meeting?
Yes, I'd be happy to. I'm sorry. I like to be at these things in person, but we've got a sick toddler with 100 temps, so we are down
We're
and out.
home.
So I apologize. I couldn't be there in person tonight.
That's perfect.
I'll just work through, if it's okay with you guys, I'll work through some of the questions that Lisa sent, just so I can, and I'll fill in some of the things we've been doing too. And if there's anything left, feel free to ask after.
Okay. Would it be helpful for us to pull up the application, the new application? Is some of the stuff you're gonna go through on there?
It's up to you. I mean, I answered some of the questions in there, and I don't know in what particular order they are in the application.
Okay,
Whatever's easiest for you guys.
so why don't we just pull up the application?
Okay.
And then, you know, you can talk and again, it'll be on the screen, Travis, if we bounce around to what we can. Otherwise, at least it's up there so anybody from the public that's listening can see what we're discussing.
Yeah. Happy to go through the application. Not a problem at all. And we actually, before we get into that, we did put a survey out on Monday, and we actually have, as of this afternoon, we have 270 responses, which is actually really, really
Okay.
good and much better than I thought. 20% of those are neighbors, and some of the feedback I looked this afternoon at about lunchtime. There was 230. And out of those 230, 180 were in favor of the project. So that is a overwhelming yes, which is great. The biggest concern we heard on the survey, and I've got to do the math to figure out where it all lays out. Parking was not as many as I thought, but the dog park next to a spray park was a concern that I think we discussed and we knew about. But overall, 180 people said in favor of it, which is out of 230, which is a great number.
That's great. So when is the survey open till?
Monday, December 6th is the Monday after Thanksgiving.
And how can people access the survey?
They can either go to the Southborough MyRec or Southborough Town page, or go to our social media. It's right there. Those are the 2 points that'll have it as well.
Perfect. Just so we can plug it in case anybody's listening or watching, they can certainly go there if they haven't done it yet.
Or they can just reach out to me directly, whatever, at the rec.
Okay. All right, take it away, Travis.
All right. I should have access. So that's page 1. You can scroll down there. None of the project costs has changed. It's still a recreation-based project, obviously, so that's not going to change. You can go down to page 2. Nothing on that page is going to change. Eligibility points. Nothing major changed from the last time we talked. I am continuing to pull a few comparable communities. Some of the information is hard to pull out. I was able to nail down a lot of funding sources. It's either CPA or capital. A few nonprofit entities were able to support in other communities, but price point came out pretty similar to what we're coming in at, which is great. I did answer the life of the splash pad would be 20 to 25 years. I think we had talked about that last time, and I confirmed that out and verify that. We are continuing to look at all of our parks in Southborough that we have under the recreation umbrella, and we continue to try to look at how we can improve them. And this is just a great example of that. And again, a great park to the splash pad. And this is something that a lot of the families were excited about, is just heat relief in the summer. When you're in town and you're looking for something to do with your little ones and family, people were pretty ecstatic about having a water option in Southborough to go to and cool off at. So that's great. Again, ADA compliant. Very excited to have that walkway, which I did find out is 0.17, a little under a quarter of a mile is a full lap around that potential walking trail, the concrete path that we have potentially in the project. So if you want to get a good workout in, a couple laps, 3 laps will get you a decent amount of distance. So a little under a quarter of a mile, which is a full lap around, which is it's a decent amount of walking distance, which is great. And feel free to stop me if I'm rambling.
No, not at all. Not at all. So, okay, we'll go down to project description.
Yeah, project description.
anything-
Nothing's really changed. The playground, basketball court, and pavilion there would remain. The big additions to the project are going to be the splash pad, the third of an acre dog park, and the small picnic area, and the development of a walking trail that makes the whole park accessible, which is great. And trying to go through some of the other questions. Yeah, that's it for summary. Nothing crazy there. Project name is everybody okay with that name? I try to be I know a point we had talked about last time was description. I try to be descriptive. It's kind of bland, but it's all in the title.
I'm fine with it, Katie.
Yeah.
Brant, Ellen, Claire, you fine with that name?
That works for me.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay.
Ooh, sorry about that. I had
That's
to find
okay.
the mute button.
May yeah, come on, 1 second, Freddie. Are you okay with that name, Claire?
Yes,
Okay, Freddie, go ahead.
Travis likes it. I like it.
All right, perfect.
Thank you, Claire.
Go ahead.
And I think
1 second, Travis. 1 second, sorry.
sorry, my
ahead.
bad.
I don't have anything off the tip of my tongue, but I will get back to you. Instead of improvement, which makes it sound like there's something wrong with the playground
Mhm.
now, this is addition, so there might be a better
Yeah.
semantics, and I'll think about it and bring it back. But for right now, that's fine. But now improvement sounds like,
Yeah.
enhancements maybe is a better
Enhancement.
word.
That's a good.
But
Yeah, I
I'll
like
think
that
about
too.
it.
That's a good
Thank
one.
Okay,
And I think the open space recreation, I know, Kristen is working with the CPC to close out a few projects. I don't think there's much. I think it's minimal. I know I think it's signage related. So I know
Yes.
it's not huge, but we'd love to close that out sooner rather than later.
that's our plan as well, Travis. Thank you.
No worries. And the goals remain the same. I don't think there was too many goal related questions within the questions that you had. I think the goals is to create a park that has a safe and multi-generational and multi-use to it. I did talk to, and I'll dive in and out of some of the questions, but I did talk to zoning, and the height of the fence can't exceed 6 feet. So at the highest, it would have to be 6 feet around where the dog park and the spray park on that same side. So that is just a heads up. It can't exceed 6 feet. They said it would trigger a lot of zoning rules and regulations that would make it a little more challenging. If this is something, if 8 feet is something the committee wants us to pursue, I can push it. But they said 6 feet would be where they would probably be at its tallest.
Okay,
Grants. We actually on Monday, and I'll go a little off topic. Monday went to the Land, Water, and Conservation Fund, the National Park Service grant that we had talked about last time. Monday
Yeah.
they had a workshop, which was super helpful. I got even more information. We got to sit down with. There was probably 15 or 20 other communities there, all in the same boat. Some were doing land acquisitions, some were doing park improvements. Got to answer a lot of great questions. January 6th is their deadline. So I didn't know if the committee would be able to, I don't know what the decision-making process, just from the CPC standpoint, if that would fall in line with when your decision timeline would be. I can put it in and then pull it out if need be. It's a pretty intensive application, which I have no problem doing. But they had, this is going along with the contingency question. They require 10% contingency. So I'm going to be scaling back the Activitas, which I'll send you a new invoice because I just went to that meeting on Monday with a updated contingency costs on the invoice as well. Just a heads up.
so I know we talked about a bunch of different grants, Travis. What is the amount for this grant? What would the amount potentially be?
It's a matching grant through through the National Park Services, but it's through DCR,
Yeah.
Department of Conservation and Recreation. The deadline's January 6th,
Yeah.
and they would require a affirmative town meeting vote, so they would let you know by March if you receive the grant. But it's up to $1 million, 50% reimbursable. So the most you can get is $500,000. And the least you can get is $50,000. And it's not a guarantee that you're going to get any, but it's worth applying for.
Yeah.
Leominster 2 years ago, I think it got $400,000, and Woburn got close to $200,000, both for spray pads, for spray pad related projects. So I'd like to still apply.
Yeah.
And there's just some hurdles you got to jump through. It's a pretty intensive application. If we have a good sense of where we're at come mid to late December, that'd be awesome. I can push it through.
My thoughts, Travis, would be to definitely apply for it. What we would do, we've done in the past. In fact, you can jump in here too. In the past with trails, they applied for grants and we went to town meeting because you didn't have the amount. We went to town meeting with the full ask, with the condition that, you know, if grants are applied, then it's going to be less. Is that?
Yes,
Correct.
I think Travis is asking something a little different, if I understood. He isn't going to go forth with the
Yes.
intense application. He needs a match guarantee, not guaranteed, but to know that the CPC is approving, recommending this to town meeting, and you should know that before the end of December.
Absolutely.
And you should get a feeling mid or at the next meeting, I think, so that you could know whether it's worth your time to make the application. And then the warrant article can be written that such that if you get the grant funding or to require you to apply for it, it's what we've done in the past.
Okay.
You nailed it. That's all I
Okay.
really need.
Okay, let's go down the line. Let's see if anybody has any questions or comments on that grant. Katie? No. Ellen?
No questions. Thank you, Travis.
No, thank you.
Claire?
Yeah, I just had one more thought. Freddie brought
Sure.
up a really good point about instead of using improvements, enhancements.
Mhm.
One of the things that I thought about as Travis was talking about is like the walking trail around there. So that kind of caters to those of us who are older. So if there's a way that we can take that enhancements and almost make people understand that the park isn't just for people with kids. And it's not just for dogs, even though, you know, we love them, but we don't want to spend a whole lot of tax money on them. But I think that if there's some way that somebody can creatively use a thesaurus to come up with, how do we get across the point that all ages are going to be able to use this area? I think it would kind of help out.
Thank you, Claire.
Can I just based on that, all age enhancements?
Sorry, Claire, did you ask a question? I had to run and let somebody in real quick. I know.
Well, I think I'll let Claire speak.
No,
Go
it,
ahead.
it was just really more of a suggestion in terms of just making all of the enhancements that you're doing appealing to all ages. People think of the recreation park down there as being for kids.
Hmm.
And, you know, okay, so you add a dog park, so now it's for dogs, that's a good thing. And, but it's also, if there's gonna be the walking area all around the whole perimeter, a lot of people like to walk on flat surfaces, so if there's some way to add that in, you know, to include that creatively, and you know, I can take a thesaurus and try to figure out a couple things.
Yeah.
Make a suggestion. I'm not saying somebody should spend a whole lot of time on it, but that's just a thought that I had in order to just make it even more marketable to the people who have to agree to it.
No, it's a great suggestion. Anything we
Thank
could
you.
tweak to make it more, from a name standpoint, sound like it's for everybody. I am definitely open ears.
Okay, Freddie, did you have something else on that?
No, I just said suggested
Okay.
all age enhancements at Fayville Park.
You could also emphasize that the walking trails and ADA
Yeah,
compliant walking, because trails, or is it path or trail? I didn't remember.
it's a
I think
path.
it's trail. Path,
Oh,
yeah.
trail.
But,
Okay,
you know, maybe, I don't know if you thought of path instead of trail, because those have different
yeah,
connotations, and also maybe say that maybe it's whatever
ADA
you want to
compliant.
say, yeah, it becomes
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Travis, keep going.
All right, you can go down to the next page. Community support. I kind of talked about that earlier. So, like I said, between our open space and recreation plan that had a couple hundred survey results, and I know that's close to 7 or 8 years old at this point. The Stanton Foundation survey that we did with over 100 applicants for the dog park a few years back, and now this new survey that we're actually in the middle of. I think we've got a pretty good sample size. And then again, continuing to have those conversations with youth baseball and youth softball to see if we can update that T-ball field at Finn so they can have more centralized facilities and they're not losing any fields. I think it seems like it's pretty favorable at this point, which is great. And again, we'll just continue to have those conversations. And once we get that feedback from everybody, then the survey closed in early December. I think we have a commission meeting in mid-December. I don't envision the proposal tweaking much based off of what the commission says, but we'll continue to have those conversations and try to drum up support.
Travis, one suggestion is, I don't know if you may have done this already, but putting something in the electronic backpacks at the school
Ooh, yep, that's a good suggestion.
about the survey, you know, oh, we have a friend, hello,
Yeah.
hello.
She's just coming back from practice.
That's okay, we love when we have visitors, that's great, the younger the better. But that's a suggestion, you know, put together just a quick flyer or something with the
Yeah.
information, I'm sure you've already got it. And have it put in the electronic backpacks at the school, and you might want to even send a copy over to the Laura, I think it is, West at the senior center. Put out
Yeah.
some flyers there, especially with the ADA, as Grant said, pushing the ADA compliant. You know, it might be a great idea, and it'd be great to get them on board as well, because we do know seniors like to come to town meeting.
And they also might have grants that they could apply for. That's a good
Yeah.
suggestion.
So, sorry, I didn't mean to like get off the beaten path. Did anybody have anything under the community support? Ellen, Claire, anything for Travis under that? Freddie, I'll come to you next.
No, thank you.
Are you good, Claire, with that?
I'm all good.
Okay, thank you, Freddie. Okay, all right, let's keep going.
All right. Budget. This is actually Dawn, our recreation commissioner, recommended this at our meeting because I actually didn't submit a sample budget moving forward in that piece. I just must have missed that piece when I submitted it initially. But The sample budget was something new that we added just to give you guys a idea. And again, these are ballpark costs, utility costs. And I wanted to, it's important to note that all of these annual costs that are going to crop up and what the town's going to inquire by putting in this facility are going to be paid for out of the revolving fund. So there actually is no utility or additional costs that are going to be allocated out of the operating dollars. We anticipate doing birthday parties, programming, maybe some dog obedience classes. We actually, anytime you talk about programming at rec commission meetings, it kind of spirals out of control. So we went pretty far down the rabbit hole, but the gist of it is there are a lot of programming opportunities there. And actually within the survey, we listed some programming you'd like to see there. And the residents gave us a whole bunch of good ideas for future programming there, regardless of this project happening or not, which is great. So I think we have a revenue stream that we can tap into. So we're really hoping that that is able to pay for the utility costs and wood chip costs as well. And the wood chip costs, we did look at it, was 12 to 15 months replacement, which again, a lot of good suggestions at the last meeting, talking to DPW or tree, a couple Stumpy's tree companies. And I think we actually might have a channel to see if we can get that donated by the DPW too. So that we might actually not have an anticipated wood chip cost as well. So that's good news. But nothing budget wise changed from the Activitas estimate, but I know wood chips was one of the things that we had talked about last time, but I wanted to make sure we bought up the sample budget for 5 years after installation.
Okay, and actually, I was gonna ask about the maintenance cost, but I see it's under maintenance. You already talked about that, so.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions on this piece?
So I think the last time we talked about how there was a parking element that was now removed and it's gonna be replaced with the new, is it picnic area or something like that? So you're saying that the cost didn't change at all, even with the removal of the parking area?
No, it didn't change at all. I talked to Activitas and they said it would be pretty comparable, so they left it as is and just changed the name. And again, so that's where they left it with me. By going through the grant process, we're going to fine tune that a little bit more. So I think if you meet in December, I might be able to give you a little more firmer cost, but I don't envision that changing much or at all. The only thing that possibly could change in the application, which I don't think it will, would be if the commission decided to tweak the dog park and make it like a picnic or a parking area based off of survey feedback. But I don't envision that happening. But that's the only change I'd see. But as far as costs go, that not to ramble, that wouldn't change much.
Okay, thank you.
Katie, anything? No. Ellen, Claire, anything on that?
No, thank you.
Sorry, Ellen, I didn't hear you. I spoke over you.
Sorry, I was just saying no.
Okay, thank you. Freddie, did you have anything? Nope, sorry, I can't turn.
I'm sorry.
To look that,
I should
I don't want
speak.
you to be.
I shook my head no.
Okay, sorry. Okay, let's keep going then.
Funding, nothing crazy. Funding has changed with this aspect either. The recreation department is still willing to contribute $67,000 for the design portion in the estimate from the revolving fund. And then obviously we talked about the land, water, and conservation fund program that we through the state. So those two funding sources and possibly a senior center grant if we can maybe tap into that too. But nothing's really changed on the funding perspective.
Any questions? Anybody?
No,
No, okay, sorry. Ellen, Claire, anything on that? You're gonna assume no. Okay, let's keep going. Timeline.
Timeline, I'm not quite sure we talked about this or I had this answer for you guys last time. So the funding, it again, if we're to come available from January 1st, 2026, Activitas, which is the landscape design firm, could do the design and permit in the project with the documentation documents ready for procurement bids by winter, early spring 2027, with a late spring, early summer construction mobilization. And again, that's winter weather permitting. A project size scope would most likely be 4 to 5 months construction. Could be substantially complete mid to late to September. So a 14 to 15 month timeline is the goal, and that might get delayed a little bit more depending on the grant. We're not allowed, if we were to get the grant, we would hear back from the state in around town meeting, April, February, March, April, some time frame. But we would not hear back from the federal government until the fall. So that July 1 start date would probably, if we got the grant or any sort of funding, would not be till September, October, November for funding becoming available, because we can't do anything until we get the federal okay and funding. So it actually probably would be closer to 17, 18 months timeline altogether.
Okay. Thank you. Questions, anyone? I'm just gonna ask. If you have a question, just jump out. Okay, ready?
I'm all set.
Okay, thank you. All right.
I'll sit over there next time.
No, hope I can move my head next time. Okay,
Implementation, again, will be with Activitas being part of the procurement process, would be managing and implementing all aspects of the project. So that's not changing either. Maintenance, we've continued to have conversations with DPW, some great conversations, wood chips, winterization. They continue to be a awesome support system for us and willing to help out any way, shape, or form. So I feel pretty confident that winterization is something you feel comfortable with, and even wood chips, I think they might be able to help us out with. So again, just continuing to have those conversations and make sure they're looped in and they're not surprised by anything. They've been great. And like I said, splash pad, I've seen some that have exceeded 25 years, but 25 years is the goal to get them. So obviously we have a good amount of time to enjoy that splash pad.
perfect.
I have something.
Go ahead. Okay, Freddie has a question. Go ahead.
So just to have in your mind about wood chips,
Yep.
where you're sourcing them from, you want to have fresh, clean chips, because you don't want something that's been in a brush pile that has invasive plants and seeds that you're bringing in that can get distributed, you know, to the area near the reservoir, as well as jumping worms. They come in and they're transported with mulch.
Yeah.
So fresh chips, okay, but ones that have been hanging around and you scoop up off the ground, not so much. So just
That's
be
a good-
aware of that for any project.
That's a good suggestion. And one of the things that came out of the survey, and Freddie, I appreciate you talking about this too, was natural shade as well. So I'd love to connect with you to figure out if there are some natural trees or natural shade, best shading trees that might be good recommendations too.
Love to have that conversation.
Awesome. Okay. Ellen and Claire, just jump in if you have anything. I think it's more productive to just keep going. If you have a question, just jump in. All right. Let's keep going. Okay.
This hasn't changed that.
Yeah, that hasn't
Further
changed.
Further documentation, I've included all this in there. If I didn't, I can send it. My apologies, but I gave you guys the updated estimate. So you should have that, a map of the property. I have the 2D
Yep.
rendering, and then I sent, I think I sent Lisa the deed from Paul Sabelli as well. So you should have all that information too.
Yeah.
And again, these are some of the community outreach we did and have done over the last 10 years that we've actually used to sculpt this project. It really is funny. The open space and recreation plan, the couple hundred survey results they got from that plan in 2019, I went through, and I think pool or aquatics was mentioned 40 different times. So this is something I think people wanted. And it's, that helped us go spray park. And the ADA transition plan has kind of sculpted the walking trail, and the Stanton Foundation grant with the dog park and the feedback we got there helped sculpt the dog park. So it really is kind of combining the three plans and the feedback we've gotten over the course of 10 years to try to implement a multi-use park that helps check some of those boxes. Bylaw and compliance. Again, we double checked with town, and again, I think we had some questions on this, so I hope I answered it. And if not, I can definitely go back. Just general liability, dog park and spray park dog park and spray pad would both be considered under that. The town's insurance, Maya, insurance broker, insurance association, mentioned use at your own risk disclaimer signage if you want to put that up. And again, I brought up the fence not exceeding, it says 8 feet. That should say 6 feet. My apologies. I can tweak that. And again, we've actually double checked with DCR, and they were okay, perfectly fine with dog parks next to the reservoir. And they actually were able to, they're going to give us signage if the project goes through that we can put up too. So, and I checked with Board of Health. I think, I forget who asked, but the bathroom suggestion for a spray park was actually a really good question. I double checked with Board of Health. Bathrooms actually are required. Didn't realize that. And porta potties are an acceptable bathroom option there as well. And we actually have porta potties at that location. So depending on the popularity of it, maybe we can look at a more semi-permanent bathroom option. But she said, Board of Health, Taylor said she's okay with porta potties being a bathroom option.
Travis, either or are any of the porta potties down there now currently ADA compliant?
Yes, there is an ADA accessible one that goes down there.
Okay, thank you.
May I?
Yep.
Down at the Cape Cod National Seashore Rail Trail, not National Seashore, but the rail trail, they have a porta potty situation that you wouldn't even know. It's like in a trailer.
Oh,
And-
really?
Yeah,
I've seen
this
that.
is behind Arnold's, and people are going on the bike trail and then miniature golfing and then lobster and ice cream, and you wouldn't even know that it is I mean, you walk in and it's
I'm
pleasantly
from Brewster, so
surprising.
I'll check that out. I'm a big fan of Arnold's.
Well, they're closed now, but I'm just saying it is an option to look into,
Yeah.
and obviously that it's a trailer. I mean, you don't know. And the other question I had, you mentioned, I'm going back a bit, you mentioned cement or pavement for the walking trail.
Yeah. Was
So
the,
you're not thinking of like stone dust, or another option is that rubber they
no, I think
use?
we're for the walking trail or the walking path.
Yeah,
I think we were thinking asphalt, concrete, as an option, if that is okay with the committee. That's the most accessible option. It makes it easy for walkers, wheelchairs, anybody that has mobility issues. Is the committee okay with that option as far as a trail path?
we hadn't discussed it, so I wouldn't know what the committee, I'd also throw out just another option. I don't know what the expense is, but I'm seeing playgrounds in Worcester. Also, at Tower Hill, they have this rubber, I don't know what it is made out of, but it's something to look into. I don't know what
Yeah.
if the fence is over the top, but it's very comfortable for walking. And I've seen people with all kinds of mobility issues and, whether it's a walker or a wheelchair, being able to use it.
That's a great suggestion. A lot of playgrounds, it's poured rubber. A lot of playgrounds have that now. It's a great option. It's way more accessible than wood chips. And I think I'd love to maybe explore that for the 3 playgrounds that we have in Southborough under our umbrella. It's expensive, but it is no maintenance, no wood chips. You don't have to worry about dirt being a bare spot or anything like that, or if it's totally accessible, and it's a lot easier to navigate, and it's a lot more safe. And a lot of communities have gone that route too.
So just to say, I wasn't suggesting you do the whole playground, but just look into the walking trail, because I did
Yeah.
see people really, you know how pavement cracks?
Yeah.
And then if you have a wheelchair or a walker, it can get caught. So it's just, or canes. I saw lots of different use on the one at Tower Hill.
Hmm.
So just a trail, just a thought.
It's a good
Grant
suggestion.
wanted to add something. Go ahead.
Yeah, just in general, I want to be mindful of the amount of like impervious surface that we're adding, right? Because right now it's a field.
Mm.
We're adding the splash pad, which I'm assuming is impervious, right? Some sort of rubber concrete
Yep.
base. And then, and then that plus the walking trail, which I believe is also probably grass area now, I should think. Just want to be mindful of that. So if we
And
can limit the amount of impervious surface added, I think that would be better.
that was my first question. Had you considered stone dust for the path?
We most certainly can. We haven't really gotten down the surface type yet. I think we were planning on pavement, but if the committee has a preference one way or the other, I'm just excited to get a path there that would be accessible for that everybody can use. I mean, maybe I err on the side of DPW and maintenance and what they would need to do to keep up with stone dust. But I could certainly inquire.
SVT might be a resource because they have a lot of trails with stone dust, and I think just by being flat, that it would make that accessible. And maybe the rubber I was talking about is over the top, but I agree with Grant about impervious surface. And do you have to have stormwater for any of this?
I can ask. I'm not quite sure. I would assume so, but I'd have to talk to DPW too.
We can talk about a rain garden.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a great idea.
Katie, anything? No. Alan, Claire, anything?
I think Kristen's on there. She.
No, Kristen's on there too. Okay, Kristen's in.
I would just suggest, and I think Travis said about talking with other places if they have used stone dust. The reason that I mention this is talking about impervious surfaces. With doing my driveway over, came to realize that stone dust means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. The vendors particularly. So, Travis, you said the right thing to get somebody who actually has the right kind of stone dust, so to speak.
Yeah, and I can talk to DPW as well. But
Yeah, Exactly.
It's a good suggestion. Looking into it, but I haven't really thought that far. I was thinking pavement, but totally understand what you're saying about the surfaces, and we're eliminating grass field and adding a concrete pad for a splash pad. So kind of limiting the surface we use is definitely a good recommendation to look into.
Yeah, Travis, I'd just like to hear what their thoughts are on it as far as maintenance as well too, so.
Oh, for the trail or?
On the stone, yeah, on the trail, if you went with the stone dust,
Yeah.
I'd be kind of curious of their thoughts on that, you know?
Yeah,
What
I can-
maintenance would be involved as well.
I can talk to DPW, and then when we meet in December, I can update everybody.
I had one more.
Go ahead.
It just dawned on me that as nice as stone dust sounds, it may not be as beneficial as one thinks because it's hard packed and it may not really infiltrate rainwater as much, but something to look into.
Yeah, Travis, if you could just find out some information on that for, our next meeting, that would be great.
Yeah, no issue. I think most parks would have like a concrete asphalt, but I've seen stone dust used too. I've seen it vary.
Yeah.
I'm making a note right now. Good.
So I'm not necessarily against the asphalt, only because I think of the maintenance that would be involved. I do worry about the impervious surface, but again, I'd be curious what other towns do as well. I think it like the bike paths and the walking paths they have in other towns. Most
Yeah.
of it is, an impervious, and we're at such a small 0.17 acres. I'd just be curious to hear what the difference between the two would be.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only area you're adding is I know the shaded area that we're talking about for a picnic area would be grass. And then the only area that we would be adding concrete or poured rubber for would be the spray pad. The dog park would be wood chips, obviously. So it is a piece that you're doing. So that would just take that into consideration too.
Okay. All right, let's keep going.
All right. Nothing there. I'm the applicant, so I put my name down. And any project require? Nope, no deed restrictions. So we verified that with conservation, so we're all set on that front. And then other information, I threw a lot of in here. A lot of information. If you scroll down a little bit.
Actually, so I just have a quick question.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
Okay, great, go ahead, sorry.
On the deed restrictions, so thanks for sending the deed. I found it very useful, but on there, isn't there I don't know if it's technically a restriction, but there is a stipulation that use has to be used for recreation,
Recreation,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Is that
sorry.
considered like the deed restriction or is that something different?
I can double check. I thought there wasn't, I didn't, I thought it was, I didn't know there was, I didn't think there was a restriction. And if there was, I thought it was used for recreation, but I could be wrong.
Oh, yeah, no, I just want to, like, I don't think it's an issue for this, but in terms of,
Right.
is there a deed restriction on it? I think it is
It is.
restricted for recreational.
For
use.
recreational uses only.
So we might want to reflect that in the application.
Agreed.
I'll update that. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
catching.
The deed specifies that,
Yes.
and that's, I think, a requirement to use CPA funds that we found out last year.
Okay, perfect. All right, let's keep going.
And the other, this is just, I'm sorry, this is kind of just an assortment of information that I just kind of threw in here. The goal is, sorry, I don't have my glasses on and I am blind. There we go. I like it. Yeah, I think, well done. I mean, you are on your A game. I think the survey has been super great because it definitely it raised a lot of what people are thinking about when they first look at that 2D rendering with the dog park looking at the spray park. But I think having the things that we're going to do with the dog park entrance being on the opposite side of the spray park, and then having the spray park itself fenced in, and with the picnic area fenced in, I think there's going to be, and the natural vegetation and plant life that we're going to have in between with the higher elevated fence. I think these are all aspects that are going to make it a safe and enjoyable park for everybody. Not only is it going to prevent the dogs from obviously going over a 6-foot tall fence, would be pretty impressive, but I don't think that'll happen. But it'll actually provide a noise barrier too, because that seems to be a concern for dogs barking. But I think with the vegetation and plant life that we're going to put in, hopefully that'll help with the sound barrier as well. So I think these are all things that we've taken under consideration and listening to the public and trying to make it safe and enjoyable for everybody.
Thank you for all the information there. I mean, I think it's good as we've tried to, if anyone wants to go see the application on the website too, I think it's just a lot of information that would answer a lot of questions. So
Yeah,
thank
and
you.
to be fair, if you're looking at the 2D rendering, if I'm just looking at that, I would think that those same things too, because it was very much a preliminary 2D rendering, and I feel like if you had what we had discussed in there, I think it becomes more of a buffer. So it's just looking at it preliminarily, I would think the same thing too, to be fair. And again, we talked about the wood chips. It says you can actually stretch it 12 to 18 months for services for dog parks as well. So that kind of threw it in there. And then I think I showed you guys the park that they're putting in at Chelsea. Again, space is not something they have a ton of. Totally understand that it's in the city. But they're putting a very similar dog park and spray park within a stone throw of each other, right next to each other as well. And I think, I'm not quite sure I included that sample, but if not, I can email everybody just so they can see what they're looking at too. So it's actually more common than I thought, looking at other options, and other communities have dog parks being close to either aquatic facilities or spray pads.
Perfect. So I have a few takeaways for you for the next meeting, and also if we could add, at our next meeting, if you'll have the results potentially from the survey, I would be interested to see those.
I can definitely include those. And then I will move forward with that application too, and I'll keep everybody in the loop. And
Okay.
if there was not a favorable decision and you guys decide to not go with the project, which is totally understandable, I will pull the app as well, just so I can get started with it, because there's a lot to it. But I think it's worth applying for it.
And I just want to thank you, Travis, for going back through, putting it all in one document. I think makes it so much easier for us and the community. I know it was a lot of time, and I know it's your application, but at the same time, we appreciate the extra effort that you went in, to make this the best application for us possible.
No, thank you for considering it. And it was a team effort. I think at the commission meeting we had in early November, actually 2 weeks ago, we batted it around for like an hour and a half. So it wasn't just me; it was our commission too. It was a group effort, and we appreciate you taking it under consideration.
Yeah, please share thanks. I think, it's a more complete application. I think will do us well in the future. So we don't have a date set, Travis, for the next meeting. We're gonna do that at the end. I will email you what the
Okay.
date is for December, so you know. And because I'm thinking one, maybe 2 meetings in December to get everything wrapped up. So is there anything else that we didn't go over? Anybody on the committee that would like to see from Travis for our next meeting?
Two quick things.
Sure.
One is, Travis, I know that you said you had begun to look at splash pads in other municipalities. I would still be interested in the results of that in terms of what size they have, what their populations are, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because just lingering in my mind is like, is this, I don't know what goes into determining what the right size for a community is for a splash pad, but I have to imagine it has to do with the number of kids in the school system or in the town or something like that. So, I would be curious about that. And then the only other thing for me is, should we take a vote of determination?
I was gonna do it after, but we could do it now if you
Oh.
wanted. Totally fine.
Yeah.
We can do it on each of the projects while the applicant's here. So one of the other things we have to do, Travis, is the commission, it's on our handbook, has to vote on the project eligibility, whether this meets the eligibility requirements. It's not a vote that we're going to bring it to town meeting yet, but just that the project is eligible. So Grant, would you like to make a motion?
I would make a motion that the CPA application titled Fayetteville Park Improvement Splash Pad Dog Park and Walking Trail is eligible for CPA funds.
Second. Thank you. Any discussion? See none. Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Ellen,
Yes.
Claire,
Aye.
Katie? Yes. Grant?
Yeah.
Lisa? Aye. Did you have anything to add? Freddie?
Kristen,
Okay.
yes.
Oh, Kristen's
Kristen's
here.
here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're not on my screen, Kristen. I'm so sorry. Okay.
No problem. I appreciate you guys allowing me to sit in on my son's soccer banquet. We're just en route home right now. So once I'm home, I'll get on video. And I just want to thank, this wasn't a plot by me to make Travis do most of the talking, but he does most of the work. So, Travis, I also wanted to thank you for the time, but also to the CPC for the guidance. It's made, the process easy for us to go back to the commission to continue discussions. So thank you.
Yeah, CPC, you guys have been awesome. You guys have been a very pleasurable committee to work with and get all this information for. So yes, I echo that too.
Okay. Thank you, Travis.
Thanks,
Much
Travis.
appreciated. Enjoy the rest of your night. I hope the little one gets better soon.
Thank you very much. And one quick note, I did to answer your question, the rule of thumb is 25 square feet per user for spray pads. I had to look it up real quick. I knew it was in here. And the average commercial size for a spray park is between 15 to 2,500 square feet. And I have those 20 communities and I have been plugging away. And I'm sorry I didn't include that in the application. I'll send that to you guys tomorrow.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right. So why don't we do the trust? Because I think that one's going to be quick. And then we'll go to Grant. So Ellen, thank you and Doug for putting this together. I thought it was great. Do you want to run through it? Is there anything new or is it kind of all the same stuff? I'll leave it up to you.
Sure. So no huge changes. I think one piece that we did add in and wanted to note, we included as an attachment. And thank you, Katie, for sending this and for the support. The Housing Authority voted at their meeting in late October to support this application. So we included a note about that in our revised application, as well as a copy of the meeting minutes that Katie provided. So I talked about that in the community support section, just to underscore that the authority was in support of this.
Okay, that's great. So we don't know, I know your funding request is in excess over the 100,000. So we won't know until the next meeting, kind of where we're at and what that could potentially be. But I appreciate you putting it in there. And it was clarity for me because I thought initially incorrectly that you were just asking for 50,000 out of the 100 potentially. So I appreciate the clarity on that. I don't have any questions for you. I think it's pretty straightforward. When we get the numbers, then, I think you've answered most of the questions. Could be missing something. And I'll go round table. I'll go to Freddie too. Grant, did you have anything?
I'm sorry. No, I don't. I appreciate the clarification. I think there were a couple edits in there that made clear that it's the excess of the housing funds rather than just excess of all CPA funds.
Yes.
Not that that was your intent, but that, I didn't catch that the first time, so I appreciate that. Yeah, so no, I don't think so.
Okay, Katie? I have no questions. Okay, Claire, any questions or comments on this?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, Freddie?
No,
Okay, so, sorry, go ahead.
Kristen,
Oh, Kristen. She's not on my
Just,
screen, so, sorry.
are we taking any votes tonight on this?
The only vote we're taking is that if it meets the project eligibility. Doesn't mean it's
Okay.
going to town meeting, just that it meets the requirements to continue in our process.
Okay, then I have no comments.
Rick, do us the honor,
Yes. Get any of this.
transfer to the Affordable Housing Trust
Yeah,
Fund.
so I make a motion that the CPA application for the transfer to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund is eligible for CPA funds.
Second, okay, roll call vote, Ellen,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
Claire,
I'm confused. I thought you said the only votes that were being taken are for project eligibility?
correct, and that's what this is, it's saying that it's eligible to move forward in the process, that it meets the requirements that CPA puts out for any project.
Oh, okay, all right,
It's the same
I'm
vote
good.
we took for recreation, we have to do it for each one, Claire.
Okay, I'm good. Yes, aye.
Thank you, Katie? Yes. Grant?
Yes.
Lisa, yes. Okay, perfect. All right, next up is
Yeah.
the rural, did I ask if you needed any comments on that one?
no, I mean, you did, but
Oh,
no,
okay.
I said no.
Okay, I just want to make sure, sorry.
I said Kristen.
It's tough when I'm not, I can't
Yes.
see it. Okay, Grant, do you want to go through the application? How would you like to address this one?
I'll probably go through it,
Sure.
I think, not in too much detail, but.
Yeah, perfect. One thing I will say is thank you for adding at the end, the historical piece.
Oh, yeah.
I think, again, having it in one place, one application is gonna be a lot easier for the public too, if
Yeah.
anyone wants to, view them. So thank you.
And that was in the 2024 version, but
Right.
yeah.
Perfect, okay. I'll be quiet. Go ahead.
You're good. Actually, I just need a second. So
Okay,
you can keep talking.
I do like the pictures too, I will
Oh,
say,
thanks.
within the document itself. That's not something I could have done, but thank you.
I'll give myself photo credit for that one. I think that was last year. So,
Perfect.
yep, so this is the revised application. I think we had talked about previously that when Kevin submitted it, there was some issue with the PDF. and
Yes.
Just not as much detail in there, as in the 2024 application, so. And also we've just learned some more things since then.
Perfect.
A bit here, so nothing changed, here. I'll go into funding a bit more. There is a bit of an update on that, but,
Okay.
in terms of a rough ballpark, but still don't have a firm number. So just, nothing changed in terms of eligibility. It's still under historic preservation. So in terms of the work to be done, so, Kevin has, just in terms of the process for this, he's, met with a gentleman named Dennis Semperbon from Beacon Hill Restoration, which is a historic, preservation, like, architecture firm or something like that. And they've done multiple inspections of the tower, since the application was submitted, and I think even a couple since, the CPC last met. So that's been giving, I think, both historical as well as just, ultimately this committee a better sense of the work that needs to be done.
Yep.
So we knew about the roof, we knew about the wooden elements, a couple of actually, I can get into that a bit later, but, there does need to be some masonry work, probably involved in order to do it right, is kind of what we've learned as well. And I think it was, and then I think we'd already talked previously, I think it's a bit later down in the application about like refinishing the door and some of that work, but I think the only additions there were the masonry work and then also I believe at the last meeting, we talked about that the roof, we don't have the formal report yet, but that the roof was likely slate, which obviously adds the house instead of, it was originally thought, but by Kevin at least, that it might be cedar, wood shingles, and, now we think, based on at least an initial assessment, that it's probably, slate.
So I know one of the things we talked about before, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, tell me if I am, and
Okay.
I'll take my question off the table. So was funding found to do the report?
As of yet, no.
Okay.
There was discussion, and I talked to Kevin about this earlier today. There were discussions, and it seemed like there was a willingness at the select board level.
Yeah.
To fund the feasibility report.
Yeah.
I think I could get into it a bit later in terms of budgets and that kind of thing, but
Okay.
I think the timing may be an issue based on CPC's, in order to essentially
Okay.
wrap this up by next month. So I can get into that a bit more.
Okay, good, sorry. Jump ahead.
No, you're good. Just in terms of the history here, it was built in 1903. It was actually, so it did have a use as a, as we say, it was a water tower to pump. It was a windmill that pumped to a holding tank in the tower. And it was used to irrigate the grounds of the cemetery. So it did have a functional use since then. Has not had a functional use other than I think like holding rakes and stuff for DPW, but it's very charming. And it was a Southborough resident who built it, who's actually buried in the cemetery. There's the picture. I don't believe anything, so the open projects, I think we've talked about previously, so nothing changed there. And if I'm going too fast, do you guys want me to slow down? Just let me know.
Just one question on the open project, so it's pending bids, it's already gone out to bid? I think one
There
of
was a request for bids. I don't think a bid has been chosen. Kevin might probably has better info on that, but
okay, so
I believe the bidding documents
okay,
were
is
prepared.
there any way that we could, I think. In the handbook, I believe, or maybe in the discussions, sorry,
In the application?
in the application, okay. That the CPC was supposed to see the bid,
Will be notified before projects start,
yeah,
all of that.
No, the project definitely hasn't, well, I'm almost
We're going
certain
out
it's
to
not
bid.
started, but,
but the bid,
okay. I'll just.
okay,
add
sorry,
that to
I'm
my
trying
notes.
to,
No, you're
Yeah.
fine.
I'm swiveling kind of funny here, so yeah, if you could just make a note, that would be great. I will just put it in the Dropbox.
And then, is it the request for the bid or the bid, it's the received bids has to go to CPC?
I'll look to see, if I may,
Yes.
I'll look to
please.
see what the actual requirement is, but that's sort of an indication that the project has started, whether got a bid or you're working on a bid.
Okay.
That's the beginning of a project that needs a bid, so the CPC should be notified that
Okay,
that's where you're at. Plus 6-month update.
Then you'll shoot Grant a note for this, Freddie,
I will shoot Grant a note,
please.
and
and
please
I'll
copy
CC.
Kevin, because I think he has a better sense of
I will-
what's happening.
I will
Yeah,
get you all.
Okay, thank
okay,
you.
thanks.
Sorry.
Reset it as well.
No, you're fine. So just in terms of its historical importance, it's part of the downtown National Register District. It's obviously part of the historical cemetery. And it's, it's 122, or will be 122 years old, and it's just a unique asset. I don't think really any other, at least that we've seen that any other town in Massachusetts really has something like this.
One just, that's probably again out of line, but I didn't forward the email from you to the committee, so we want to let them know that historic did take the vote.
Oh, yeah, so historic took 2 votes. One was on whether or not it is a historic asset, which is the legally required vote, and we unanimously said that it was. And then the other is that the historical commission supports it, which it was our application, but we wanted to do the vote anyway. And that's in the minutes and
Perfect.
it's all set, yeah.
Just so everybody knows that those were done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Community need, it fulfills or doesn't fulfill it, but works towards the master plan goal for protecting and preserving all historic assets of the town. So I think I mentioned during the last application cycle that we were getting a sign put on the door, so that's what it looks like. the description of what it was used for and when it was built. So the select board, in terms of community support for that, the select board granted the historic commission $500 for that, and it was installed in October 2024. And also not the whole thing, but pretty much the whole thing started with Bill Cundiff reaching out to Kevin about concerns about the roof and kind of asking about it. So DPW is also on board with the restoration of the building. They've also been obliging in terms of getting the lift truck for the inspection and stuff like that. So DPW is also, my understanding, is in support.
Perfect. Good.
Oh, thanks. Okay, so budget. All right, so there's a couple things going on with this. First is, so as I said, Kevin's been in touch with Dennis Semperbon of Beacon Hill Restoration, or I think it's Beacon Hill Restoration, whatever the company's called. And so they've done a number of site visits. In order to get kind of, I think, what we would ultimately expect in terms of a report on the conditions of the building, what it should be restored to, according to the Department of Interior standards, that kind of thing. A feasibility report, and also going into the cost for maintenance, all that, I think, is kind of the next step for it. As you mentioned, Lisa, there was kind of some movement maybe to try to get initial funding for that report, to get a true cost estimate from the select board. To be honest, I have not been, that's been Kevin who's been doing that, but the estimated cost, just rough, these are all rough numbers, I just want to clarify, but the estimated cost for that report is $5,000 for the feasibility, to kind of get both a true cost estimate and also kind of all the other, I think it's, the recommended remediation, request for bid documents, maintenance schedule, and all the current conditions.
Do you know if Kevin met with the trust fund group again?
I do not. I saw that they had a meeting the other day that was canceled,
Okay.
but I'm not sure. We'll connect with them on that. So we're kind of in a strange and kind of a tough situation, to be honest with you, because we want to get this done. Obviously, it's been 2 cycles. We don't want to wait again. But in order to get like a proper number for you, ideally we would have this report in hand, but the report costs money. We don't have it in our budget, and we have to get it from somewhere else. So it's kind of a chicken and the egg problem. Just as a rough, very rough, I don't want to be held to this really, but as a rough estimate to give the CPC a sense of the cost of this, Dennis, I believe, had told Kevin that around 100,000 would be kind of in the ballpark range of what we're talking about for the project. And again, it could be higher, it could be lower, we don't know, because he hasn't done this. So in terms of the potential budget, we're thinking, obviously there's contingency in there, that might even be high, we don't know, but 5,000 for the study. Oh, so that's the other part. So in order to get this done this cycle, essentially through CPA, I was interested in the committee's thoughts on the CPC funding the study, which I believe I've checked the IGR, and you are allowed to fund technical feasibility studies as part of projects, that kind of thing. So whether or not the CPC would be, for moving forward with this, obviously would fund the study to kind of get a better cost estimate as part of the package that goes to town meeting. So that's something I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on. So again, it's still rough, but the overall cost for the project depends on that report. But I think we might be able to get some sort of rough number plus the report as our working budget to bring to town meeting. I don't know if there's going to be more clarity. Kevin's been involved in this, so I don't know if there's going to be more clarity on that before we get to town meeting, obviously. But right now, we're just struggling, I think, to get that initial funding for the feasibility study to kind of give CPC and also historical the best sense of, it's going to cost $82,000 or $150,000, whatever it is. But so right now, that's kind of what we have.
So let me just, so I'm clear, so the application would be revised with a ballpark number for the plan, or plus the $5,000 for the study, roughly. So you'd be looking for potentially, and again, not holding any,
Yeah.
holding with the fire for any of these numbers, Mary, I'm just trying to, again, walk the process through my head. So like $105,000 potentially, but my only concern with doing it
Or
that,
more with
or more.
contingency,
right,
like, I don't know, maybe 115, something like that.
Okay. okay,
But yes, so, and my
Or-
thought behind that is, of course, we could get CPA's fund, or try to get CPC's funding for the feasibility study. Then that will go to town meeting, then we would wait another cycle, then get the full cost estimate, and then go and do it in a second cycle, but I think we're not really interested in that,
Okay.
especially, I think, historical is interested to kind of get this done by tricentennial, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's just a thought of mine, because I can't think of really, unless select board does fund it or some, get another source of funding. Even still, we think it will take maybe a month-ish to get that report. And again, Dennis has already been generous in terms of doing the inspections and kind of some of the pre-work on that, but so I'm mindful of CPC's internal deadline, trying to finish this up in December. So even if we were to get the funding today, I think that would be tough in terms of actually getting the report finished and getting a number to put in, to put in a warrant article by our deadline in December. So that's why I'm thinking maybe revise it to include the feasibility report and try to get it from Dennis a rough number. Maybe more exact than 100 if you can, but again, it's just kind of like word of mouth what it might be.
okay, I'll kind of go down the line and get everybody's thoughts and I'll come back. Plotting in my head, so Katie, any thoughts on this?
Just a clarifying question.
Yeah.
So you need a feasibility study to move forward here. We can't just ballpark it and say, we're gonna give you 100. If it comes under, just give it back, or because I feel like it's gonna be hard to bunch them together with not a real number and still have people have the confidence to move forward. And I would like to see this done sooner than later, of course, as well. Another question is this something that we could do at like a special town meeting?
Mm.
And then annual, we might even have another special and try and just time it that way.
Those good questions. I know we've talked previously about doing stuff at special time meetings, maybe having exceptions for
Yeah.
ongoing projects, so I'd be open to that. Obviously, I'd want to check with Kevin,
Right.
rest of historical, but I think that would make sense.
So I think the
In
select
terms of-
board
oh,
for the school, sorry, are talking about a special, I don't know if it's before town meeting or after town meeting. So
special spring.
special spring,
Yeah.
right, but I mean, town meetings in March, the end of March, so if it's before that,
Lisa, do you know why a special spring?
it has to do with the schools. Again, I just read about it, Beth Mello did an article about it on myself, I didn't watch the meeting. Kristen,
it.
she did a whole thing on it, but yeah, it's got to do with some of the needs and,
Options.
yeah, options and everything, so they're considering a special, I just don't know if it's special to
Okay.
annual or, but we can find that out, any of us.
Yeah,
can,
I
so.
watched that meeting. They met twice,
Thank
I
you.
think, once with school committee. They
Yes.
didn't set a date, and then I didn't see the one yesterday.
So, yeah, so they kind of agreed they're gonna do one, but they haven't put a date out. So that's a great point, Katie, because that might actually work,
I could,
depending on
Timing.
timing.
yeah, I mean, as I said, I'm definitely open to that if the CPC is flexible on that. I mean, obviously waiting that entire year is kind of painful. An additional year for go through the cycle again, so. To the second part, or I guess it was the first part of your question about a feasibility study. So maybe Freddie has a better sense of this, but for historical projects, it has to be done to the standards of the Secretary of the Interior standards. And so the problem with this that we ran into last cycle was we didn't know what materials had been used. It had asphalt shingles on the roof, which was not historically correct, that kind of thing. And so I think regardless, maybe feasibility study going into all the other stuff. I don't know if it's strictly necessary, although I think getting a sense before you go out to bid of cost is probably useful, but I think probably it is required, right, Freddie, to have kind of I mean, it was requested of historical to get a sense of what the historic materials that were used were. And I think that in order to do that, we have to pay someone essentially. And this guy has been willing to obviously meet 3 or 4 times with us, like once for free and the other, you know, kind of pending eventual payment kind of thing. So, but I would think, I don't know how it's been done in the past. to be honest with you, so.
And I throw something out,
Sorry.
just thinking off the top of my head, I read about that special town meeting, but when does spring start? I don't think March is spring. Winter doesn't start till December, right? So
I would think spring, February, March could be, I guess,
it's winter.
some people view it as spring. I guess it, you know, again, for.
So find that out. Okay, I'm assuming it might be later because are they ready to move forward? We usually have a fall town meeting. And also, I'm wondering, as just to consider, you could put the feasibility on the annual town meeting and get it funded that way.
But what about the project?
The project then would become, because he said once you get it, it's not done for a month. I don't think you can, I shouldn't say that.
That's just, yeah.
I
would
don't
think
know
that-
without a budget to know how much money that you can move forward.
Yep.
I think that's a real challenge, not just for the CPC, but for the town. We historically have always asked for, you know, either bids or quotes, and when you're this uncertain right now, is there enough time? I mean, that's up to the committee to decide, but I'm just throwing that out as an option. Have the feasibility in the annual town meeting, you get that, and then you have, if you can't find it somewhere else.
So I'm of some of the same mindset, other than I think if the 2 meetings are a month apart, I think, or 6 weeks apart, even. I mean, I don't know. I think we need to find out when the special they're thinking of, and then continue this conversation, because if there's a way to do one at the special and one at the annual and get this done, Grant, you know, if it's only gonna take them a month to put together the report. Or even without the full report, at least put together the estimate, you know? I think it's gonna be challenging without having a solid number.
Okay,
That's just my 2 cents. I think, and look at some of the questions that were asked on the railing. You know, and I think, yeah, I think advisories probably, I could be wrong. But I think without having a solid number, it's tough. But I think we have time, and we don't have to, you don't have to decide anything tonight.
Yeah.
Or we don't. I think we have the luxury of finding out when they think the town meeting is, and I still think there's $5,000 out there somewhere for the feasibility study. I really, really do, and I think, that,
I mean, I think that might be possible. It's just, and again, I don't want this to happen, right, but like. I know previously we've gone up until February or something like that to
I
get
know.
like, I don't know when the actual warrant is closed for annual town meeting, the March, February or something like that, but like, I don't want that to happen. I guess maybe if there's leeway, we might be able to fund it earlier if we get a funding source, and then get the number later in the cycle and stick it in at the end for.
so we'll,
Or, you know, if we can go beyond the December deadline, which I know is not, we set the deadline for a reason, so that's not great, obviously. But otherwise. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure in terms of strategy, maybe I probably want to take it back to the kind of historical in terms of splitting it and doing it in 2 separate parts versus. Trying to do, you know. The ballpark would be the maximum is what I was thinking. Up to, essentially, you're appropriating up to, and if you underspend, that's a bonus.
Kristen needs to be.
I understand that.
Switch to a computer.
I know, okay, can we bring her over?
Can
And-
you, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Do you think you can try and coordinate with the select board and talk about your options and say, you know, is there $5,000 somewhere that you would like to sponsor this for now? Or can we coordinate special town meeting? I know it has nothing to do with this and maybe
But
not
this is
be a priority. It's a priority for us and the town
Yeah.
most likely. But maybe you guys can work together so that the timing works
Yeah.
for this as well.
Yeah, I know that Kevin, as I said, had been in touch with, I think, both Kathy Cook and Andrew Jennington. It was supposed to be on an agenda a couple weeks, or probably more like a month ago now, and it just hasn't been,
So
so.
he may want to follow up, because
Yeah.
Any ARPA
I
funds out there?
do believe it's too late.
It's too.
They had to have been.
Sorry,
Not spent.
that was a
but wanted.
whisper.
I know, sorry. Okay, let's go to Ellen and we'll go to everybody up here now too. Katie, were you all
I'm
set?
good. Yep,
Okay,
thank you.
Ellen. Questions, thoughts, comments?
Yeah, no, I get this is a tricky position, and like you said, Grant, is sort of chicken and the egg. I like Katie's suggestion about the potential to look at the special town meeting. I feel like the timeline is still really hard given even if the report is able to get put together pretty quickly, when does the warrant close for the special town meeting? When do the funds actually get released after the regular town meeting vote to be able to pay a company to do it? So I feel like I'm landing more in the camp of trying to find an alternate funding source for the study. If there is somebody who has a really quick turnaround grant program, if it's I don't know, if the Historical Society has money that they'd be willing to put in for something like that. But I feel like there are too many unknowns to fold everything together into one project for the annual town meeting. And the timing is too hard to potentially make it work over multiple meetings. So I think that's a long way of saying I feel like the best way to go is see if there's other funding for the study, and kind of keep the building project itself open for now in case that does come through.
Okay, that's helpful, thank you.
All right, Claire?
So Grant, not to put you on the spot, but I need a little help here. Correct me if I'm wrong. Kevin was talking with somebody during the summer about this. Was it the Beacon Hill people?
Yes, it was, so, I
Okay,
had so he did an initial inspection. To be honest, I'm not sure entirely on the dates, I think I sent them to you, Lisa.
Yes.
Maybe September was the
So-
first one, and then there's been, I think, 3 or 4.
Yep,
And there's one 2 days ago, I believe, as well.
with the
So,
masonry.
yes, that's right.
I meant to put
Okay.
that in. Dropbox.
so here we are like 3 or 4 months later, and is it just the $5,000 that's holding this up?
Yes,
Well, yeah, it's the $5,000, which gets to how much the overall project is.
Yeah.
But yes, the kind of initial batches of funding, historical's budget is like 1,500 or something, like we can't fund it. So yes, that has been sticking point.
Well, maybe I'm just trying to oversimplify it, but it seems to me that, let's say, for example, we had the $5,000, that Beacon Hill should be able to say, okay, this is what the project is going to cost, okay, to do X, Y, and Z. And then that's what goes into the request versus, or maybe I'm wrong, I'm kind of getting the feeling that these consultants, and I mean, I've seen this happen with other stuff. Well, how much money do you have? And we'll figure out then how much we can do with that. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, so no, I think you were right, though, that essentially, the inspection was in part to get at the historic materials, but also the cost, but, I don't know what goes into this in terms of historic
I mean, it'd
materials
be
and all
kind of
that
like,
stuff.
yeah, I'm kind of like looking at it from the standpoint, I have somebody come over and take a look and say, at my house, well, this is what I want to do. Okay, fine. And then now I have to pay them to tell me how much it's gonna cost, what I want to do. I understand that a historical guy has extra expertise that he brings to the table. But it just seems to me, I have a little bit of a problem having to pay people to tell us how much money it's gonna cost us to pay him to do it.
well, Clary,
So I
It's
think,
not him doing
well,
it.
I think that's what we've done previously, so I know that on the townhouse and
Yeah.
the library, we were involved with Lynn Spencer,
Yeah.
right? So, and that there were feasibility studies. I don't know at what point in the process those came. I know that there's CPC funded a feasibility study for Flag School
Understood.
that hasn't been restored, but
Yeah.
like, I think it's a pretty, especially for historical, where like the cost of these things has to be, again, I think it's has to do with historic materials and stuff like that. That's part of it is that an evaluation of what is, it's not just a simple building project about, oh, we need like whatever, a ton of lumber or something, but it's figuring out what the historic building was made of and then building out from there, I think.
And it's a report too, Claire. So he's doing a report. He's doing, helping with the bid documents and,
And if he wants to get the business, you know, he can sure figure out how to do it for less than $5,000. That's why I'm looking at it. I think this is a hard sell.
May I
Okay.
say?
And
From a rec-
that's just my,
This is
that's
very,
just my
like,
personal opinion.
yeah,
Um,
and just on the flip side, for every rec project, you know, we go through design, so we always have a design cost as well, and 5,000 is relatively low, which makes sense for the size of the project. Because of the hours it takes them, and then, you know, the additional work. It's not like they're just producing a number and that's it. So, I'm just throwing that in, that like from every project I've ever done, we've had a design component to kind of dig in a layer deeper and make sure that we have no unforeseen circumstances. And then I think with historical, it's what Grant just said. It's not like they can just go to like Home Depot and, you know, estimate out what it's going to cost. There's a lot of special considerations.
Yeah, understood. And I'll just end with this. I can understand something like a building like the library. You have a big building, there's a lot of stuff. I'm looking at this tower. It's not that big, you know, it's not like, there's a whole lot of plumbing in it and all of, a lot of other considerations. So, that's just kind of where I'm heading in my direction here. Thank you.
thank you, Claire. Ready?
I just want to mention that when the Historical Commission came before the CPC last year with an application, we went to the Community Preservation Coalition, who strongly recommended that you get this type of a report ahead of time and that you could fund it. The timing's not working out this round right now, but this was strongly encouraged by the coalition as proper procedure for a historical project, even one as small as this.
Thank you, Freddie.
So we didn't make it up, or
Yeah.
you know, it's,
No, yeah.
and I'm not sure that the person you hire to do this is somebody who's gonna bid on a project. It's a different field, I believe, you know. They may or may not, but,
Yeah, and the other thing I'll just mention is I think the bid document preparation is part of the cost of that. So, I know that like in some of the other projects we're talking about, for rec, it's quite a significant, like the rec project is quite a significant sum of money for the bid preparation. I don't know exactly what it is, but like that, I think that is included in this cost as well.
So I will say that I'm. Thank you, Katie, for everything. I'm very interested in trying to find the $5,000 grant someplace else so that this can potentially get done and potentially still move forward. So I will find out the close of the warrants and I'll find out what they're thinking as well. If you want, you can do it. I'm happy to do it. To try to find out the dates they're thinking about for the special. My suggestion is to still leave this application open. You know, we'll see. I think between now and our next meeting, I think a lot of things can happen. And we can get more clarity on other things.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'll let you continue. Krista, did you have anything else you wanted to add? I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I would just be replaying everything you guys said. I think we're all on the same page.
Okay, all right. So Grant, we'll let you continue with the application.
Okay, great, thank you. Let's see, so our other alternative funding sources, so I did mention the MPPF here, which is kind of the major one that we think about with historical projects. So I went back and looked at the previous round, so the prior round deadline again, it hasn't been announced for this year, but was March, and they were announced in June. And so that can be grants of between 7,500 and 100,000. And it does require town meeting approval, so. In terms of the timing, I don't know if you. Again, I've never submitted a grant before, so I don't know if you do it after the fact. You have to wait for town meeting approval in hand before you do it, but either way, it is an option, I think, that's out there.
I believe they require you to have the match in hand. When they, or they grant you the funds, you have to be eligible. It's
You
not
can
like
do
you
it
get,
retroactively.
it's not like you can say, oh, we got the grant, now we have to, so. I'll look at my notes from, we looked into this before.
So
But
essentially,
it's something that could happen.
but like applying probably in March 27 to include the retroactive town meeting vote from whatever it is, April 26, essentially,
Could you-
get the reimbursement.
Could he apply in
I-
March of 26? Well,
I'll look into that. That's,
okay.
that's the better plan, but you may need the money already. I'm not sure.
so my question is, though, if town meeting is in March.
Yep.
And we condition it like we've done in the past for trails, that if you get the grant, then, you know. Is that still doable to be able to submit an application in March?
Let me find that out because it's tricky.
Yeah.
And all of these grants are tricky with a match when you have to have the money up front, like,
Yeah, I couldn't figure it out.
and then,
I'll try to get some dates on that too.
Did you have anything else on that?
no, not now.
Okay,
Anybody else? I'm just gonna say, I think it's easier, Kristen, Ellen, or Claire, just jump in if you have any questions.
I have a
Okay.
quick one.
Sure.
Can you just explain where it says can issue grants between 7,500 and 100,000? Okay, so let's say the grant is 50,000, then of reimbursable 50% would be 25,000 for Southborough to do for a total of 75,000 for the project.
so I believe it has to do with both the cost of the project, but you also to essentially choose the amount that you're applying for.
Yeah.
So, but it's up to 50%. So if it's a 100,000 project, you could potentially, again, I don't know what the acceptance rate is, but you could potentially get up to 50,000. If it was 125 or 150,000, you could get up to 75,000. So essentially, I think the highest amount that you could get is up to a 50% match on a $200,000 project. Is how I did that.
It's based also on fund availability, and I've heard that for the most part, no matter how big your project is, they're usually at like 50K.
Okay,
So, $500,000 project would get 50K, and a $100,000 project potentially could get 50K. I'm not sure how they look at what that comes in and the eligibility, and I don't know how they dole it out, but. So for $100,000 project, you could get 50,000, but
probably not.
probably not. I think they're a little lower than it's up to.
Doesn't-
50%.
Okay, so. Well, I guess before we vote on it, that would have to get clarified.
Sure. And I think like we did with recreation, it's the same thing. We asked them to apply for the grant and
No guarantee
no
what,
guarantees, right?
so what they did, Claire, with the recreation grant, the CPC required that they apply for the grant. And that they had the full amount to spend on the project. If they got the grant, then it was reduced by the amount of the grant, but the full amount was available, and it actually went a little further than that because we allowed them to use the full amount to do. I don't want to call it extra, but additional work that they were trying to get done. So there's a way of writing the warrant article to cover it,
Right.
when you don't, it's not like you have the cash in hand. Or the grant knowledge ahead of time.
Does that answer your question, Claire?
Sort of. I'm stupid. I don't want to take any more time. But I just, from a math standpoint, I just have to work out a couple examples and somebody has to tell me, yeah, you're right or you're wrong. But I'm not gonna take time tonight for that, because we're not voting on this, are we tonight?
Only thing we're voting on is project eligibility, just like the others, just that it
Okay,
meets the
all right, yeah,
requirements. As
Okay,
far as voting on the project itself, that's not till December.
okay, all right.
Oh.
And that was something else I'm confused on, project eligibility is just. Yeah, fits the criteria, but it doesn't get
Right.
into the nitty gritty of it. Okay.
Exactly. So if you look in the application further, Claire, there's how to determine CPA eligibility for so this is for the historic preservation. But it's just making sure that all these boxes are checked, that it
Gotcha.
can go forward, that it does meet the requirements. So that's the only vote we're
I
taking tonight.
appreciate that clarification.
Anytime. And never be afraid, Claire, to ask questions. My first year, I had a
Oh,
lot of
I'm not.
questions. So, and
No.
it's okay. It's okay. We're all learning, so. Okay, keep going, Greg.
Great. I just want to note that the other kind of common grant that I've seen anyway is from Mass Historic Preservation, which is a nonprofit, but they only give to other nonprofits, so it doesn't,
Yeah.
they don't give to municipalities. So timeline, that would also be included in the feasibility report. And then, as I said, you wouldn't have to go through the bidding, or you'd have to go through the bidding process, obviously, but the bid preparation will have already been done through going through the Beacon Hill restoration process. This implementation hasn't changed at all.
So can I just ask a question on that?
Yeah.
Why would we not have a historical Beacon Hill restorations or whatever oversee it versus Chris and Bill? Nothing against them, but their expertise is in historical restoration. So again, the townhouse and the library, we're not talking $1 million on this project. I can't imagine. Again, I'm not going to give a price of what it might be, but if you guys considered having somebody with historical background, like not necessarily Lynn Spencer, but maybe this gentleman from Beacon Hill, actually being like the project manager based on, he would know the work that they're doing. And again, nothing against Chris
Yeah.
or Bill, but that's not their expertise.
So I'm not sure, to be honest with you. So I guess if they put in a bid for only historic restoration, like, I don't know exactly how the bidding process works, to be honest with you. So I guess my question is, if you put out a bid and say this has to be restored in a historically accurate way, and you get a bunch of historically minded
Yeah.
firms, who is the project manager? Is it the contractor? Is that, or is it I'm not, maybe I just don't understand.
That- Can I'll look into that, because you're
Like,
right.
I'm open to,
It
like,
was,
I just don't know. I guess if you go to bid, it would be the contractor for the bidding winner, who would be the manager, right? Or no?
who's going to oversee.
Oversee it.
Yeah, so I had a concern with this as well, because specifically from the coalition, you want someone with historical knowledge to oversee the project.
Okay.
But the question is written, who's the project manager, and you have to have someone from the town managing to make sure the bid goes out and all of that. So often it would be the applicants, and we changed it because, like with trails, we had written Kat's name, but it would be the chair of the Trails Committee. Same thing with recreation, it's the recreation, what's Travis's title? Director. So I think it's that, not, because when you put in DPW, it sounds like they're doing the work.
Right.
Okay, so essentially it'd be Kevin or
No,
the
the-
historical commission.
The historical commission.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
But you're not doing the work, you're just managing the project, making sure everything keeps flowing through.
Yep.
And you
Okay.
can use DPW, but I don't think they'd be the manager.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Anybody else on that? Assuming no, keep going.
Okay, maintenance. This is kind of Kevin's domain about what is required here. First, I'll just note that the feasibility report will include a maintenance plan.
Okay.
We were clear about that because we know that's what CPC wants, and it's also just good for historic buildings. But we would, based on past experience, repainting of, I guess that would be the wood elements, I think, and then revarnishing the door which has had to happen in prior years as well. And then, you know, DPW would be responsible for the maintenance costs. So I provided the assessing parcel, so feel free to look that up.
Yes.
I can share that on the screen if you want, but that just takes you to the town's GIS map, and I just looked it up there, and you know, it shows what parcel it's on, and there's a photo of the building in the center.
I don't need to see it. Does anyone need to see it?
I had a question.
Go ahead.
Is that under the control of the select board, or is there something separate for the cemetery?
So that's a good question.
That is a good question.
And we need to have, I think, a letter of.
Yep.
So where if historical, you're going to ask for a PR. You don't want to go down the road and then have the person who has authority over that building to say, no, we're not gonna sign off on it.
So give me 1 second, I'll pull up the GIS.
Yep.
Thing.
I believe
But
it's,
there were two entities listed
Okay.
on the, I recall, I did this a while ago, South.
hi ladies, it's nice to see you all on the screen now.
They're waving.
They're waiting. Now I lost you again. That's okay. Let's see.
So this is the
South.
parcel ID card, again, I'm not an expert in how this works, but so the parcel number, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then the owner has
That's
Southborough Town, and then the co-owner is Cemetery 1842. I don't know what that is,
I don't know what that is either.
but it is a town-owned parcel, so.
So I can tell you from when I was on the select board, most things having to do with the cemetery, the select board signed off on, like the
Okay.
cemetery plots or people giving a plot back. So that might be something you want to follow up on, but I'm pretty sure that the select board had control.
Okay.
Of that. Again, I could be wrong, but
I mean, that's what I was thinking
Yeah.
as well, because it said town of Southborough, but again, I don't know what's in.
I don't know what a co-owner name is. Maybe that's the fund. The trustees that oversee the funds.
Maybe,
I don't know.
yeah,
So if you can find that out, that would be great.
and then the other thing here is they do include building photos, not that one.
Yeah.
That one, so that's associated with the
Yeah.
parcel, so, yeah.
Perfect.
Um,
Let's see.
so feasibility, let me share again, sorry. So feasibility report, again, I think that would be the only
Yeah.
report needed. I don't think bylaw compliance really applies here. Just that I can't think of.
I can't think of anything
Yeah.
that does either.
So. Preservation restriction, I know we've spoken about this before, I haven't connected with Kevin on this, I know previously he has said. He doesn't think it's needed, I know previously on this committee, I've. Expressed support
Yep.
for it, just based on history, so you know, we answered the question in the report here, we. Have to, well, actually, I don't know if that's. So. My understanding is that we should have a PR on it.
Yeah.
But again, I guess I'm speaking only for myself on that question rather than on behalf of the commission, as we discussed it.
So I can tell you, I'm interested. I think that, you know, upwards of $100,000, a PR should be on it. Claire, why don't we see, and maybe you can take it back to the committee, the commission, and let them know whether we're, you know, we think that that's a good requirement. Claire, do you believe that on this project, the president, doesn't it have to be though, Freddie? Through the coalition, doesn't it require it?
The language is vague and it's not necessarily required, but best practices is
okay.
recommended.
Okay.
And there's no dollar amount. If it's worth funding, it's worth preserving. And the other thing is, if you get when you're applying for the state historical commission
The
grant,
holder.
Right.
that's what comes with it, which
Yeah.
is a real added bonus. You don't have to go through not just the cost of it, but you don't have to go through the whole process. They work with you on that. So that would be an extra bonus.
Okay. So Claire, are you, do you believe there should be a preservation restriction on this asset?
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay. Okay, this is it's just a yes or no, just so
I-
great,
this is-
fact.
Yeah, I'm kind of out of my league on this one. I'm being very honest, but I would think so. I mean, if we're
Okay.
spending X amount of taxpayer money.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
Okay, thank you, Kristen.
Thank you.
I agree. I'd done some basic research in our last meeting on ChatGPT about this, and it seems pretty standard that we would. So I would like to.
Thank you, Ellen.
Yep, I agree with that. And I don't know, Grant, if you brought this up when I had to step away. And if not, I don't want to take us down a completely circuitous path. But just wondering what the impact of a preservation restriction would be if down the line there wanted to be an adaptive reuse of the water tower.
I did not touch on that. Thank you.
Sorry, just from listening
that's
into the
fine.
last historical commission meeting. But
Oh, okay. So, in terms of use, you mean?
yes, so just, yeah, if that's like a path that the commission wanted to go down, how does that square with a building with a preservation restriction on it?
Yeah, so typically, and again, every preservation restriction, I believe, is tailored to the specifications of the building and has different requirements that's agreed, it's in such an agreement between the town and I don't know, is it the holder of the PR or
The holder and the
the
owner,
owner? Yeah.
it's a negotiation, but with a CPA project, I think you have to protect the
Yeah.
value of what you're investing in.
Yeah.
So like for the library, it was only the facade that was restored, not the
Yes.
whole building.
So, to that end, I would imagine that the PR would be about preserving the exterior of the building, which is what I've seen most commonly, especially in prior PRs in town. Like I'm thinking about 84 Main Street, the owner of the property is allowed to do a lot of stuff on the inside, and the town has no say on that. But in terms of exterior work, that is governed by the PR, also the landscaping. So I would expect that it would impact any changes to the exterior of the building. The interior of the building, I don't know. I'm not as sure about, to be honest with you. So I would say anything that changes any proposed use that would change the exterior of the building from its current state or from its historical state rather, would probably violate a future PR. I think the best way I can answer that right now.
Thank you. Yeah, and I don't want to overcomplicate things. And I know it sounded like a preliminary conversation at your last meeting. Just trying to figure out kind of how all these pieces might fit together and if that's a discussion that the commission is having, just trying to figure out how everything is lining up.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
Is there a plan for discussion of adaptive reuse of that tower in the cemetery?
So this is where I would really love Kevin to be here, because this is his idea, and the historical commission
Not a condo.
did not vote in support of it, but kind of allowed him to pursue the idea. And again, I really know very little about this. He had proposed that the building could be used for cemetery purposes as a columbarium, I think, which is holds remains of the cremated dead. And so just that was proposed use. Again, historical doesn't have control of the cemetery, so I think that would be a conversation with, I guess, the select board and others. But so that was a proposal that he thought that could give the building in use. And the rest of the commission, other than kind of allowing him to proceed with talks, I don't think really weighed in too much on it.
Okay.
Is that right, Ellen? You watched the meeting. I'm trying to think back.
Yeah, that was my understanding, and I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, I think that's a good reflection of that. It was something that Kevin had thought of and was interested in pursuing, and I think that was you gave a good reflection of what the other commissioners were feeling, that there wasn't, you know, rallying around this, but it seemed like something Kevin wanted to explore a little bit further. So it's still just kind of out there, I guess, is an idea he has.
Yeah, and as I said, I spoke with him earlier today, and I know he has been in conversation. I think he spoke with DPW, but I only spoke with him briefly, and I think that's just he's going down that path as a potential kind of thing.
So, Betty, if, let me just ask you this, so if the PR would be on the exterior, then, go ahead.
Yeah,
We'll go
I'm
with the
pretty,
same place.
I've done some deep dives on PRs over the years, and not that I have an expert, but I don't see anything prohibiting that type of use inside with a PR you get for the work you're proposing for this. If you were spending $100,000 on the interior woodwork, for an example, that would want to be protected and not be allowed to have covered up with bolts or whatever you're planning, but I don't see any reason why just like, just like the library can do what they can move bookcases around, or they decide to not store books, but they want to store videos or have meetings, there's no restriction, I think, even on or there's no proposal even on the woodwork or the room setup. So it's just on what they're restoring.
Thank you.
So, Kristen, did I go to you already? Okay.
No, I don't have anything to raise though.
Oh, okay.
Did Claire go?
I'm sorry?
Did Claire?
Yeah,
Okay.
Claire was first.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. So I attached the MAPRS report, which is the state database of historic, or state inventory of historic properties. So that's in the later pages of the application, has some detail about the history of the rural cemetery, and also includes photos of the tower in there. And I believe description of the history as well.
And again, I want to say, thank you for updating the application. It is on the town website now, and I think having a historic piece is very important. So thank you for taking the time to do that.
Yeah, that's fine. I think, is that it? Yeah, that's it. Okay.
So I think we have a few things to come back with to the next meeting. I think there's a lot of moving pieces on this still. So I think the $5,000 is still a real moving piece, and
I agree.
I will have some conversations on that as well. I'll get the dates of the close of the warrant, the dates of the next meetings. Let's see, we were going to, we talked about the grant already.
Lisa, just thinking about the 5,000, when we opened the discussion, one of your questions to Grant, and I don't think Grant knew, was whether or not a conversation was had with the oh my gosh, cemetery
Trust fund, yeah.
fund? Yeah, so is that a to-do as well?
Well, that's one of the things I think there's a few places to ask, and
Okay.
hopefully to come back with more information at our next meeting. So I think we'll have a much better idea. If we can find that, if the $5,000 can be found, then I think it puts it in a much better place going into even the end of December, maybe getting a number, or even within a week or two of that, potentially getting a number. So, yeah, so those are some of the takeaways. We'll look at timeframes. I don't think I missed anything. We do need to take a vote on the project eligibility. Would you mind making the motion? I know that it's your application, but
I don't mind. Does anyone else?
you made it so perfectly. I
Sure.
don't think anybody minds. Go ahead.
Or does anyone else have anything else before we vote?
Yeah, does anyone have any other comments? Sorry. Nope, I don't think so. Okay, go ahead.
Actually, I have one quick thing. So in
Sure.
terms of the timing, one thing I was thinking about, if there were a special and an annual
Yep.
town meeting a month apart, for CPA funds, typically there's you couldn't get the money and spend it within that month and get it for the next one. So I think if we're talking
Can't.
about two
It
separate
depends,
special town meetings, it would probably be spring and fall, or maybe the special in the fall.
let me look into that from accounting, but there's some funds, I believe, that are available.
Yep.
Okay.
That's
Yep.
why we put That's why we do that,
Oh, yeah.
discretionary
Yes.
every year, and people say you don't need it, and I go, well, yes. We've
Okay.
never used it, but you have it there in case something like this happens.
Okay.
So
Good to know.
Freddie will check on that. Thank you, Freddie.
Thanks. Okay, so I make a motion, let's see, what is the name of this thing?
It is the Rural Cemetery Water Tower
Thanks. So I make a
Restoration.
motion that the rural cemetery water tower restoration is eligible for CPA funds.
I'll second. Any discussion? See none. Roll call vote. Claire?
Yes, sorry about that.
No, thank you. Ellen?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Lisa? Yes. Brad?
Yes.
Okay, so those pieces are done. So thank you everyone for
I
that.
have can I ask one quick question for Grant?
Absolutely. Yep.
Completely, just a side note, like what's the latest with the iron rail fencing? What's the timeline on that? I'm just curious, because I imagine we'll start getting questions as well.
Yeah, so I have no update beyond that. I know that it was like wildly over, or the bid was wildly over, the budget, right? So I think, what did we approve? Was it 498,000 or 500,000? And the bid came in, I think somebody had shared that the bid was at 700.
You talking about the irrigation?
Yeah, that's what I was just wondering.
Oh, wait, sorry,
She's talking about the
Common, the rail down on the
Sorry.
common.
it's been a long day. I don't have an update on that. Sorry, Kristen.
And just complete side note, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Citizen Portal AI. Because I was
No.
looking up, that shocked me. I was looking up the to see if I could find anything on the fence, and like there's AI summaries of every meeting we have in town out on this website, which isn't bad, I don't think, but it took me by surprise. So might be worth checking out if you're interested.
How did you
Yeah.
find that?
I honestly, I went into Google and just like put in, because I was curious on the iron rail fencing, so I put in like CPC, and this website, Citizen Portal AI, came up, and it's like literally I read summaries of every single meeting we've had this year. It was a little,
That's bizarre. Wow.
it's
That
not necessarily
is.
a bad thing, but it caught me by surprise, and it might be something the town just wants to be kind of aware of, to like, I mean, they use a lot of software to make sure it's non-biased, but nonetheless, I was pretty surprised. Anyways, sorry, side note.
But yeah, I think we talked about that earlier with, again, I don't know the status of it at all. I don't know if it's out to bid or they put out a request for bid, I'm not sure, but regardless, we talked about.
We'll follow up with that with-
CPC.
That was a
So I-
follow.
So I have a question. And once again, it's not, I don't mean to be a pain in the neck, but it's just because sometimes I don't understand the procedures. Since that project for the railings was approved, then wouldn't we be able to go to whoever's designated as the project manager to see what the status is?
Yes,
So-
I'm saying I personally am not in the loop. I think DPW knows,
kind
because
of,
they've been interacting with VHB, who's the, and right, VHB does.
Can I
the
make
bidding process for the town.
Can I answer the question for you?
Go ahead.
The project proponent should give a report, and the question was asked to Grant, so the historical commission was one of them. So he'll be coming back to the CPC. The commission will be getting back to the CPC with an update.
Is or maybe this isn't part of the whole process, but so when the project is, so to speak, granted, then is there like a quarterly reporting, or how is the reporting structured? Or is there some place where it's kind of a live document that they keep updated?
So what does the handbook say? Every, I want to say 6 months? I
I'll
think
read the
that's,
handbook. Well, I'll
Yeah,
read the
that's very
handbook.
good.
Shame on me.
Off the
I'll
top
read
of
the
my head,
handbook.
it's in the handbook. I'm pretty sure it's in the handbook.
Okay, all right.
But
I'll
they're supposed to
check
be,
it out.
or in the
What are-
warrant article.
I'm sorry?
The reporting requirements are,
Historically had been in the MOU. And then the letter of intention that, you
Do
know,
one for the,
no, we didn't do it for that year. I
Right.
don't, I don't,
okay,
I'm not sure. Was that, what year was that?
2 years ago, it's my first, no, it was last year,
I think it was last year.
last year.
Yeah.
So the committee chose not to send out a letter of intention after town meeting, so.
Okay. Typically, Claire, it's, and I still think there's something in the handbook, I could be wrong. But we'll check.
Lisa, I'll check it out. It'll get me familiar with the handbook.
If it's not in the handbook, then after meeting with town council, we know how to put together the
Letter of
Letters-
intention.
letter of intentions. They will be included in that going forward. It was in the past. That's what I'm saying.
It was.
It was spelled out, the billing process and everything was with the letter of intention. So, okay. So we all good then? All right, Grant, thank you very much. Budget review, do you want to just touch on this very
Yeah.
quickly?
Just really quickly, everyone, and you will have a full written one before the meeting as soon as it's available. The bad news is your taxes went up. The select board just set the tax rate. And supposedly they, what I understand is they're up 7.6%. We have to estimate the budget a year ahead based on the best information. Historically, we raise the surcharge because taxes always go up by 3.5%. 2 years ago, we decided that it was going to be higher, 4%. Last year, the outrageous amount, we weren't that comfortable, but we went with 5%. At 7.6%, it's a whole different ballgame, and it's going to take the town treasurer, when I requested the numbers after the select boards setting the rate, another couple of weeks before he'll have the numbers. I can't run a budget without those numbers because everything is based on what we billed last year. So as soon as I have that, I'll, from the accountant, I'll go through it and then create a budget for you. So the bad news is your taxes went up. But also the good news is surcharge means the surcharge went up, so there's more CPA funds going to be available
Do
in
you want-
some amount.
Do you want to touch on the?
Oh, the
Yep.
state match?
Yep.
I forwarded that all out to you. We got a state match at 16%. Which I have to estimate what we think and it will be, and last year I came up with 15.99. So, pretty proud of that one.
Yeah, nice job.
Because
That's really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
it's based, and I have to do some digging this year because it's based on, more towns signing on means more funds going out. And the housing market, when it's not robust, means less funds going in. So, I don't have high expectation that it's going to be anything more than that and maybe less. And I'll do some digging into that. And it's always just a best guess based on research.
And I will just say, that's a pretty doggone good return, 77, I think it was 77,200 and something for the town for basically, not doing anything. So I think that's a pretty good return on the citizens' investment that they make in CPA. So I would just say that. Okay, signage. I'm gonna ask if we can table this line item, you guys, if you don't mind, until the next meeting. I'll be honest, I have a pinched nerve in my neck, that's why I'm sitting sideways. So anything to do that I can get home and get some heating pad on my shoulder again would be much appreciated. So if everybody's okay with that, we'll table that. I don't think there's anything that's gonna stop us from, in between the next week and a half, getting anything done. So, I have nothing under chairs report. All we have is approval of minutes. I know I just put one in late this afternoon. I don't know if everyone had a chance to review it. From 7/16, so we can table those ones, or. My hope is that we're gonna meet again in 2 weeks. We can just do them all, because there's 3 more sets to add. To that, so it's up to you guys. We can. Table the
And
minutes.
Lisa, I apologize. When I texted you early today, my schedule today was just, I wasn't able to pull together the last meeting that we had. You know, my bad on that one.
Claire, I appreciate you doing it. We're all volunteers and we all have life and things tend to get in the way sometimes. So
Well,
it's
you know
fine.
what I did? I actually, and I'll forward it to you, or to everybody, right? Or I'll post it, out in the Dropbox. I actually put together a table. I've done it with the other, boards that I'm at, and it actually gives, the links, the status of the meetings and the due dates and all that kind of stuff. I'll be at the town clerk's office tomorrow, so I'll tell her for the two that we are kind of delinquent on. I'll
Yep.
tell her I will send, as long as I send a draft, that kind of gets us off of getting a dunning notice, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, and I'll do that for the 317. I don't know why I must have screwed up at some point. I don't know why they didn't get approved. So I'll send the draft over on those. I think the draft's already on the website actually for the 317 and the 716 that I just did. I will send that draft over. So if you want to do the September's Claire, send those drafts over, then I think we'll be in good shape until our next meeting.
For the
Okay,
March-
perfect.
Yes.
For the March ones, it seemed like there was minimal edits.
There was, do you want to just go, I know Ellen had edited those, she was the only one that had made edits, it was pretty simple, why don't we do that? Let's just take the time and approve the 317.
Just feel bad about having those outstanding
I
for so
know,
long.
I know, I didn't know that they weren't done, I periodically go back and just look through everything, and I saw them on the website, so.
Yeah.
So 317, if Grant will pull them up, we can just review these, Ellen's edits are already in there in red. They were good catches, Ellen, thank you. Helps to get the right date, huh?
Dropbox.
Nope, that's full. I believe they were short anyway.
Yep.
So. Yeah, so if we get these ones approved tonight, I'll send over tomorrow the 716 that I just added to the Dropbox.
Oh, wait, sorry.
Yeah, that's the one I just did.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. There was nothing short about 716. I think just because there was so much discussion with town council and everything and trails, it just. Krista, did you sneeze? Bless you if you did.
Oh, yes, thank you, I did.
All right, is that the right one?
Let's see. Yes. That is the right one.
Okay.
Yeah, because Ellen corrected, I must have the wrong date, or I didn't put the date. So it was just, let's see. Call the meeting to order. We acknowledged Ben leaving. We did the election. We reviewed. Let's see, the fire department, Nate talked about leaving it open. That was basically taking the fire truck restoration project. And he was hoping to do it at town meeting. That was pretty basic.
Yep.
And then these were on Article 1 and 2. We talked about making up the town council regarding the warrant articles. Freddie gave an overview of it. I think Claire, this was one of your first meetings. Talked about the presentation, the state match, the reserve. There's the historical railing that we talked about. And we were waiting for the revised application. And the committee's considered using available funds. At this point, we're pretty late in the game, so there wasn't a whole lot of changes. Discussed the article and suggestions from town council. And then there was just the votes to approve articles 1, 2, 3, 4. Freddie reserved a room, and that was it. So it was just on the articles for the annual town meeting. Does anybody else see anything they would like to change on there?
Only thing for me is the question mark in the edit. Yeah, so just get rid of the question mark.
Yeah.
And that's it.
So,
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of March 17th, 2025.
a second? Any discussion?
As amended.
As amended. Thank you.
I just noticed one thing,
Sure.
the fourth line where it says meeting minutes, apostrophe minutes, that's possessive. These are just,
Oh, okay, on the top. Got it. for the March
Oh.
17th.
right?
Take that. Yep, that's perfect. Thank you, ma'am. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
No.
Okay, let's do roll call. Claire,
Yes,
Ellen,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
Lisa, yes, Grant.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll get those sent over to the clerk's office first thing in the morning. And I will also send the draft of the 716. I think there was a lot in that. People are gonna really want to review that. And then any others, if Claire would do the 917 draft.
yeah, I'll get together with you and let's see, 716. Oh,
Or you know what,
okay.
let's just wait. Let's just review that at our next meeting. I think we're fine. We'll take care of the two oldest ones and we'll set our next meeting date, Claire, and we'll go through all of the additional minutes. I think that's what makes the most sense. Are you froze?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
There goes-
I'll-
There you are. Okay, so are you good with that? We'll just approve all of September and
Yep.
October at our next meeting. Okay, let's do
Yep.
that then.
Okay,
Set the next meeting date. So I was thinking, because December is gonna be busy for everybody and there's a lot going on, I would suggest we set a meeting for the first week in December to tie up as much of this as we can. And then potentially set a date for the third week. So a meeting the week of the 1st and a meeting of the week of the 15th. And hopefully we'll get everything wrapped up and our votes taken. And I don't think there's a ton of outstanding stuff on any of these applications. And hopefully we'll get more guidance on that on the 5th. So, is anyone available December 3rd?
Yes.
Okay, Grant's yes, Claire? December 3rd? Oh, you froze again.
yes. Yep,
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Ellen?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, Kristen?
Yep.
Okay, so do we want to do 6:30 again, or do people need to go to 7?
Could we, 7's been tough for me. Sorry, 6:30's been a little tough for me and I know it's tough with the kids, but I don't want to run into another,
That's
my
okay.
kids, I'm carting kids all around during those hours.
Okay, does 7 work for everybody?
That would work better.
Yep.
for that.
That works better for Grant
Yes.
too, then. Okay, let's do 7 on 12/3. I'll just write that down. And if everyone could just tentatively look at the week of the 15th, so maybe the 17th or the 18th. My hope is that I know we have till 12:30, but with Christmas and the holidays and people going away and families, whatever we can get done sooner rather than later.
good idea.
And the 18th. You prefer, okay, Freddie prefers the 18th. Doesn't have the 17th. So what's everybody's schedule, the 18th? Grant, you're good?
Both dates work.
Okay. Ellen, are you okay the 18th?
Tentatively. Any day that week would be tough, so I can,
Okay.
yeah,
We'll tentatively do it. How's that? Okay, Kristen?
yeah.
There?
Either one.
Yeah, I'm checking on wastewater. That's
Okay.
that's.
Nope, that's okay. I mean, what I'll do is we'll tentatively schedule it. We can go back over it at our next meeting on the 3rd, just to see if people's schedules roll out a little bit better. How's that? But what we'll
Sounds
do is
good.
we'll have Freddie book the room for the 3rd and then the 17th and 18th, just in case. How's that? Well, no, Freddie can't do the 17th.
No, I didn't say can't. I said
It'd be tough. Okay, Well-
What time on the?
7 o'clock again on we'll say the 18th tentatively. Yes, Kristen, 7?
Yep.
Let's do 7 on both. Okay, and we'll book the room for the 17th and 18th. When we decide on the 3rd, which one's better, then we'll just unbook the one room, but I'd rather book it or someone else takes it. Okay, 7 PM for all of those. And I think that's it, folks. Thank you very much for your time and sorry we couldn't do the signs, but I'm just,
Yeah, I hope you feel better. That's tough.
no, thank you. I don't even have a good story to tell, so, nothing fun involved in any way, so,
Motion
okay.
to adjourn?
thank you. Is there a second?
Second,
Okay, lots of seconds, okay. Roll call, Claire,
Yes.
Ellen,
Yes.
Kristen,
yes.
Lisa, yes. Rick? Yes. Okay, thank you very much, guys.
Bye, you guys.
Bye,
Happy
all.
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. I'm sorry, I should have said that.
It's okay. I hope everyone has a good one.
Thank you.